Okay, today we're going to review some notes about writing equations and parallel and perpendicular lines. So you've probably heard of the various types of forms for linear equations. One of the most common ones is slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, where m equals the slope and b equals the y-intercept. And if you ever forget this, it is on your formula sheet on the left-hand side. So as an example, if I give you that y equals negative 3/2 x plus 6, well, just in this form, the slope is negative 3/2, and the y-intercept is positive 6. Okay, let's talk about the second form. Let's talk about point-slope form. Point-slope form is y minus y1 equals m times the quantity x minus x1, where m equals the slope again, and x1, y1 is a point on the line. And if you do not remember point-slope form, it is also on your reference sheet. So why do we use point-slope form? Well, point-slope form is used when we have both a point and the slope, just like it's in the name, point and slope. When we have a point and a slope, we can use the point-slope form. So what about an example of an equation like this? Y plus 4 equals 2, x minus 1. What is the slope of this equation? Well, in this form, the slope is 2 because it is in the m position, and the point that it passes through passes through 1 comma negative 4. Because it passes through x1, y1, and as you can see, this is x minus x1. So whatever number is right here, in this example it's a 1, it passes through 1 comma negative 4. It's a negative 4 because in this position of y minus y1, y minus negative 4 is actually y plus 4. That's why it's represented here as y plus 4. But we just have to know that in order to get y plus 4, this number, what we substitute in for y1, has to be a negative 4. Let's move to our last example, which is standard form. Standard form is in the form ax plus by equals c. Now don't get confused with these capital letters A, B, and C. Those are just coefficients, which are the number in front of the variable. So if we give an example like, how about 10x minus 2y equals 20? This is in standard form because we have the same positions. We've got our x and y terms on one side of the equal sign, and we have a constant on the other side. Each of the x and y terms also have a coefficient in front of the variable. So if we want to change this into like slope-intercept form, for example, because that's kind of an easy form to work with, we can try to isolate y. In order to do that, we have to move the 10x to the other side. So because it's positive, we are going to subtract 10x on both sides. So we have left negative 2y equals, these are not like terms, so we cannot just subtract them. So we write negative 10x plus 20. We divide by negative 2 everywhere. So we get y equals negative 10 divided by negative 2 is positive 5. So we have 5x minus 10. So we started in standard form, and we got into slope-intercept form. So the slope of this line is 5, and the y-intercept is -10. You cannot automatically tell the slope and y-intercept just from looking at an equation in standard form. That's why you have to know how to rearrange the variables to change it into slope-intercept form. Okay, let's take a look at a couple examples of graphs and practice writing some equations. So I've drawn a coordinate plane. I've drawn 3 lines. I've drawn a black line, I've drawn this pink line, and I've drawn this green line. Let's start with a black line first. So let's write an equation of this line in slope-intercept form. Again, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. Okay, so let's start with finding the slope of the black line here. The slope of the black line is, again, slope is the change in y for the change over the change in x. So if I start at the black line, the change in y is change 1 in y positive and change 1 in x in the positive direction. Again, we're rising 1 and running 1 both in the positive direction. It doesn't matter where I start. I could start up here, change up 1 and over 1. So the slope, the change in y, is 1 for every change in 1 in x. If I start at this point right here and went up to this point, again, I would be changing 1, 2, 3, 4 in the y direction over positive 1, 2, 3, 4 in the x direction. With 4 over 4 simplifies to 1 over 1. So the slope of this black line is 1. Now, what's the y-intercept of this line right here? Well, the y-intercept is where the line crosses the y-axis. The black line crosses the y-axis at 1, 2, -3. So because I know the slope and the y-intercept, my equation of the black line is y equals 1x minus 3. I don't need to put the coefficient of 1 as the slope if it's 1, so I can just rewrite this as y equals x minus 3. This is the equation of the black line in slope-intercept form. Let's take the pink line. What's the slope of the pink line? Let me pick 2 points on the line. Pick this point right here and this point right here. Again, my change in y is 3 units in the positive direction for every 1 unit in the x direction. My slope is 3 over 1, or in other words, just 3. Now, what's my b, which is my y-intercept? Where does the pink line cross the y-axis? The pink line crosses the y-axis right here, at the origin. The value of this is 0. It's not positive or negative. It crosses right at 0. So writing the equation in slope-intercept form, y equals 3x plus 0, or in other words, y equals 3x. You don't need to write the 0 for the y-intercept if it is 0. By excluding the 0, you know that it crosses at the origin. So the equation in slope-intercept form of the pink line is y equals 3x. As you can see, both the black line and the pink line are going up to the right. Their slopes are in the positive direction. As you can see, the slope for both of these lines is positive. Now let's take a look at the green line. The green line has a negative slope because it's going down to the right. Let's pick 2 points, this point and this point. So the slope of the green line is change 1 in the negative direction, in the y direction, excuse me, for every 2 in the x direction. It doesn't matter where I start in the green line. Here to here, go down 1 in the y direction, and go over 2 in the x direction, the positive. Now, what's my b term? Where does the green line cross the y-axis? The green line crosses the y-axis right here. What value is that? That's positive 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have the slope and I have the y-intercept. The equation of this line is y equals -1/2 x plus 5. That is the equation of the green line in slope-intercept form. Okay, let's move on to another example for horizontal and